What can we say about this weekend? Honestly, it was a bit of a downer. The Wolves cannot stop a set piece to save their manager's life, and Manchester City continue to be... What exactly are they at this point? An overpaid maybe qualifier for the Champions League next season? A bit harsh, perhaps, but they aren't quieting any doubters. Commiseration commences today on Coffee with a Kick. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Coffee with a Kick. Today, match week 16 is in the books, and I gotta say, wasn't my favorite match day as far as results are concerned. Picks, not too bad, but results, I don't think, did anything go our way this weekend?
I mean, I got two perfect picks.
Aside from the picks, emotionally, did anything come off well for you this weekend?
Yeah, fandom, not so much. Obviously, for you, the Wolves and Man City lost it late. So we're emotionally fine. We get over it. It's just sports. But not feeling too good.
Yeah, not exactly our favorite weekend. We will get into it right now, though, starting off with a clunker, to put it nicely, a 0-0 draw between Everton and Arsenal. Everton going to Arsenal. 0-0 draws. Not a lot to say about these.
Well, I mean, it was one of my perfect picks. A 0-0 goose egg. And it's what I expected. You know, Everton, they've been playing better defensively. And Arsenal, it seemed like the wear and tear of the every 3 days matches is starting to hit them. So Everton played well. They didn't really threaten too much, obviously, because they had 0 shots on target.
Yeah, 2 shots in total.
They weren't playing for that. They were at the Emirates. They knew they were just playing for a draw, and they pulled it out, which is very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give them their dues. They're playing a better side, and they managed to get the point away, which is huge. They managed to keep hanging on to their spot on the table. So that's, when we don't have a lot of upward pressure, it certainly helps. But they continue to improve minorly. I mean, technically they got leapfrogged by Crystalpalace, but still, they are now 3 points clear of 18th. So, it's going to be tight for them going forward, but my Wolves won't be threatening anytime soon. We've talked about that before. And then we'll move over to one that I did get right. This was one of my better picks of the weekend. A draw between Liverpool and Fulham. This one, 2-2. If you just look at the scoreline, you might be like, oh, Liverpool and Fulham draw. Wow, what a good job by Fulham. Not necessarily so. A red card in the 17th minute by Liverpool puts them down to 10 men for the remainder of the match. So you look at that and the fact that Fulham relinquished the lead twice over the course of this. They went up 1-0. Then there was a red card. Then 47th minute, Gakpo comes in, gets the equalizer. Then Muniz for Fulham gets the goal in 76th before Diogo Jota coming through with an assist from Darwin Núñez in the 86th to complete the comeback for Liverpool a second time.
Yeah, outside of the Man City game, this is the third straight match week where Liverpool have been down, come back, been down, come back. So it's like this yo-yoing effect of Liverpool's okay with teams kind of taking the lead. They're playing a lot like Man City did last year, where might go down early, but really probably not going to lose. This one was annoying because of that red card.
Yeah. 17th
minute, Fulham took advantage of it at one point in the game. And then, as you mentioned, the late goal gives Liverpool all 3 points. I think this was a big home crowd moment. I think that Jota goal was really just the home crowd spurring them on. But Fulham, you got to do better. Even with the red card, Liverpool still outpossessed them, still outshot them. I feel like maybe the red card in this one kind of just made Fulham play even further back than what their game plan was.
Yeah, you do come out of this feeling a little... Going into the weekend, you take a point if you're Fulham. Coming out of it, you left some on the table there. And they're still in a good position on the table, but You could be, if you had won this one, you'd be up in sixth. Only 1 point behind City. So, you gotta roll with the punches though. So then moving over to Newcastle and Leicester. Newcastle, we've talked about it a lot recently. They're just up and down and up and down. They are back up in this one, a 4-0 victory, which I did predict. I didn't predict 4-0, but I did predict them to win at least. I just not a lot going, especially after halftime. I don't know. Leicester apparently made bad halftime adjustments because they very quickly let in 3 goals in the second half.
Yeah, just one side better than the other. Not a lot to say about this one. I think Leicester's still figuring out the new manager, and Newcastle again proves their volatility, this time in the positive direction.
Yeah, 27 shots for Newcastle, 11 on target, 4 shots for Leicester, 1 on target. Woof. That's not great. Then we go to, do we have to go to this one? We do, because we cover them all.
Speaking of woof.
Ipswich Town beats my Wolves. With a little bit of hindsight now, we do know that this was the last match for our manager. We have kicked Gary O'Neill to the curb because, I know I sound like a broken record, but if it keeps on happening, you have to mention it. Once again, first it was an own goal, which has been a bugaboo of ours recently, and then secondarily, it was a late breaking free kick, a set piece that cost us the match. And then we get a yellow red after the match is over for Ait Nori. So we're missing him for the next one, which is one we really need to win. We'll get to that in the next episode, but it's the same thing that's always been happening to the Wolves. They've squandered some good opportunities, and then they let in free set pieces. That's all they've done.
Yeah, it was really funny to see Gary O'Neill get sacked in this one because not 10 days ago, the Wolves board came out and said he had their full backing. Yeah. We're going to see him out. So obviously the board was hoping that the shift would be positive, but losing at home to Ipswich, that is a relegation type of loss. So I get the change. We'll see how it works.
We'll see. I have not seen that they brought anybody in. I don't know if you'd seen any names yet, but I'm going to leave that one in the back. But leave that one behind now. Then Nottingham Forest with Aston Villa kind of pulling an Everton here and giving up a lead and a full 3 points very late in the match. With Nottingham Forest not scoring until 87th and then 90 plus 3 to take the full 3 at home.
Yeah, this one, gives me pre-PTSD to what we're going to talk about with Man City. Almost the exact same thing happened in the City game we'll talk about. Have a 1-0 lead. The game's actually going quite well for Aston Villa in this one. Nottingham's pressing, but no real attempts. Then they get an 87th minute goal. And you're thinking, okay, might be a draw. And then sure enough, 90 plus 3, they get the winner. Very uncharacteristic for Aston Villa.
Yeah, this was your other perfect pick of the week. We both had Nottingham Forest winning, but you did have it at 2-1 exactly. So good on ya. Good on ya, mate. Then we move over to Sunday with a bird fight. Brighton loses to Crystal Palace. With the only goal for Brighton coming from an own goal in the 87th minute. So really in garbage time with Crystal Palace up 3-0. They had salted this one away early on in the match. And it just wasn't a good look for Brighton in this one at home. Yeah,
boy. Again, one of those moments, Brighton, like we've talked about, just like Newcastle, they are volatile. Depending on who we get, next week they might win 3-0 versus whoever they play. But this one, Crystal Palace did prove that they are slowly getting back into their second half form that we saw last season. So good on them. They're slowly climbing up that table. It's not helpful for your Wolves, but it is helpful for themselves because they're starting to expand that gap between themselves and the bottom.
Yeah, they've really done well since we got mad at them for maybe actually being just bad. But they have they're unbeaten in 5. So that's when you're scrapping around at the bottom of the table, unbeaten in 5 will do a lot of good, and that's why they're now up in 15th in a full 4 points out of relegation threat. We just need Leicester City. My Wolves just need Leicester City to keep on being bad, which they're doing a pretty good job of themselves. So we'll see. And then speaking of bad results, you go ahead and take this. The Manchester Derby here. Wow, that's disappointing.
One of those where missed opportunities is, again, the thing that haunts City. And then late in the second half, our defense just cannot keep the other team out of the back of the net. It was a good match. There were several opportunities for both teams in the first half. Vardiol scoring the header in the 36th minute. But, the penalty, you can't be giving up penalties in the 88th minute, especially at home. And then the Diallo goal really came out of nowhere. City was just mentally, we're gone. That was they scored, all right, whatever, we're just going to sit back and take the draw. And then just lazy defense calls for another goal for United. And Thierry Henry put it best. This isn't time for City to panic about, do we sack Guardiola, do we not? But it may just be the first time in his managerial career where you can actually question him and his style of play. Is he fit to be manager still? I think so. I think he's done more than enough to, even if we finish 15th, I'm okay with him still being our manager. But it's hard to see it turning around before January. And I think in January, you're going to see an influx of 4 to 5 transfers come in, some money spent to make sure we can shore up the positions that we're obviously lacking in.
Yeah, that holding midfielder position, just someone to pump the brakes and keep things in check. That's what you're looking. Have you heard any names yet?
Well, in the summer, Joshua Kimmich was a name from Bayern Munich. So he can play pretty much anywhere. Right back, left back, center back, CDM. So he's been a name that has been thrown around for quite a bit. He even mentioned in an interview he would love to work with Pep again. So I wouldn't mind that rekindling. Mm-hmm. Another shock one was potentially Paul Pogba.
I did see that.
He's a free agent. They could get him for literally nothing. I don't think he's going to be asking for a lot of money. So that could be an option to where you at least have someone who's played at this level before and can instill some passion and vigor. But boy, it's not looking good. I honestly would just rather us put De Bruyne, Foden, and Haaland out there and leave everyone else on the bench. Because I think we might fare better, because that's essentially what's happening now. Maybe Doku, but boy.
Yeah, Doku's good. I still like Doku.
This is the bottom. That's what I'm telling myself. This is the bottom.
This is the nadir of the season for you all. That's right, the nadir.
Hopefully.
And then we go to Chelsea and Brentford. Chelsea does manage to pull out the 2-1 victory with a late scare with an Mbeumo goal, which I believe ruined my perfect pick for them. No, it did not. I thought I had that at 2-0. I was looking at a different one. But we both got that one right. Chelsea managed to take care of business. They are becoming rather reliable, which is a scary thing for a team with that much talent.
Yeah, it does seem like the style of play of the new manager is definitely set in stone now. And I have noticed they've cared more about the offensive players tracking back on defense. That was a big issue end of last year, early this year, is players like Cole Palmer or Nico Jackson weren't really involved in the defensive style of play. But now you see them tracking back, getting some tackles. So you're seeing the team buy-in, which I think is attributed to the consistent form.
Yeah, and they are now, they're only one bad weekend from Liverpool away from getting up into first. 36 to 34 points currently. So I just saw that Nottingham Forest is now in fourth. So that's
Champions
crazy.
League, baby.
They are totally just ruining everything with our preseason picks. Nottingham Forest. Well, Manchester United at least is coming back up the table now. They're up to 13th. Hooray. And then Tottenham wins 5-0 over Southampton. Southampton, apparently not any good. don't pick them for anything. They are struggling.
Another Tottenham match where all of their goals were scored in the first half. All 5 first half goals. Yeah. And then the second half, it was just kind of, hey, let's toss some things around. Like in basketball, when you're up by a bit, let's do some trick shots. Let's work on some plays that we've never worked on. There wasn't really any intent in the second half, but yeah, 5-0, all in the first half. Southampton can confirm will be relegated. Mathematically, they're not out, but after this kind of showing, you're starting to feel like this is kind of where Sheffield United was last year. The season has gotten to them, and they're slowly breaking.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for them to call their way out. I mean, they're a full 9 points out of 17th already.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they have won once, and it was against Everton back in Matchday 10. Since then, only 2 draws. That's it.
Whoa.
Week 5 and week 13. That's their only result. I mean, that's how they're on 5 points. So we said that there weren't any. I still don't think they're as bad as Sheffield United.
No, they're not as bad as them, but it's got the same feel of like once you lose that first big one, the morale is just you feel the relegation.
You can feel the inevitability of it all.
Yeah.
It's just since it's not mathematically confirmed. And then we go to our last one from Monday. Not yesterday, but Monday. A 1-1 draw between Bournemouth and West Ham. And this one almost broke our way. We both had Bournemouth winning it. But it was not to be. West Ham got the penalty first, and then Ines Unal with the 90th minute. So really, you just watch the last 10 minutes of this one. You get most of the showing.
Yeah, Bournemouth was the better team in this one, but West Ham showed some resolve, and the penalty was big, but kind of like Aston Villa and Man City. Well, the penalty goes in, and you're like, oh, we can chill out. We probably have the win now, and then 3 minutes later, Bournemouth get a goal. So mentality, I think, is going to be a big deal here in December, as we're already seeing. It's impacting a lot of matches late.
Yeah, and it is. We will do I'm not going to commit to any table breakdowns here.
We might as well wait till match day 19.
Yeah,
that halfway.
That's what I was saying. Halfway,
New
year. We'll do it then, just for full breakdown in comparison with where we expected things to be, which is, I don't think, very good at the moment. So we'll hopefully it shakes out a little bit better our way going forward. Anything else you want to cover before we get out of here?
Well, Cunha for Wolves was charged with misconduct or some issues with an Ipswich staffer. So he could potentially be suspended for a healthy amount of games. I think the ruling will come either tomorrow or Friday, but that could spell really bad for Wolves leading up.
As long as it's the next couple weeks, that's fine, because we already talked about their schedule being points will be even fewer and further between over January, February, and March. So as long as it's during those months, it's not great, but it's fine. It's not great, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. That's exactly what we needed. But until we get back here with our predictions for this upcoming weekend's action, why don't you go ahead and grab your coffee, watch some soccer, and we'll see you on the other side. Y'all zoop.